Alright, you bunch of movie-loving ballbags, it's Mac for Real Filthy here, coming at you with a wee preview for our podcast we done with your pal Shaker, Film Gob, so we're just talking about the Snyder Cut, but if you want to listen to the full thing, go to the links below. Cheers.
Can we talk about, have we talked about the Snyder Cut at all? Like, what would actually be? Because I don't know how much of it would be usable footage, because like I know they finished principal photography, but in terms of the finished effects, would it look horrendous? And also, I want to talk a little bit about Steppenwolf as a villain.
Yeah, from what I've heard about the Snyder Cut, like people say it's well, even some of the websites reported it, that it's more finished than you would think. Okay. So I think a lot of what I've seen in these kind of leaked clips of especially Cyborg. Or like learning to fly the first time and things like that. That
one of the trails as well.
Yeah, and I think that had some unfinished kind of background green screen things like that. But from what I've heard, was mostly finished. And you had that clip of the woman on the Kevin Smith show talking about, you know, she saw it. She saw Dark Side. She's preferred that version over the theatrical cut. So there's plenty of sources. Again, you know, you can follow like the DC fans like Fiona and on Twitter, or you know the website's forsnyder.com. So it's pretty much all detailed there.
I think that it's that's interesting actually, because I wasn't really sure how much they had, but also the idea that Steppenwolf as the main villain in this isn't good. It doesn't really add anything. He's not a villain that I cared about. He just kind of pops up and then disappears, and then is at the end in Russia for some reason. Like, and would that have been any different in the Snyder Cut? Like, how much would Darkseid have played a role?
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, like it's very difficult because what's his name? The actor. What's the actor's name? Kieran Hines. He says, this is not the film that I worked hard on. I don't know what this was. That's his quote, direct quote from him. And someone asked Snyder, you know, what do you think about that Russian family? And he's like, what Russian family? He didn't know because he's not seen it. He's not seen this cut of, you know, the Whedon cut. So he's not seen it.
Do you think Zack Snyder quit or was fired or?
I'm not sure. Like, really, I'm not sure, because I've heard that Snyder he had similar to what happened to David Ayer. Like, the film just got taken from him, and behind his back, like I think he was on a trip to China. I think for the I'm not sure if it was the Wonder Woman promotional tour. Before it got its wide release, but apparently Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon were kind of interfering, and he came back and he was like, I think he left or he quit. I'm not certain, but I think Jim Lee said he was not fired. So, like,
Zack Snyder went away on holiday, and like he was like pretty much like, don't touch any of my stuff, all right? Don't throw any parties. And when he got back, his kids had just like completely wrecked the place, and but all they'd eaten for like 2 days was sweets and gummy bears.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying, Shaker. Like, I think, yeah, maybe it is more likely then that he left, if that's the case, rather than let you quit on his own accord rather than getting sacked. But I think with the Snyder Cut, it's a tough one. Like, I personally think, bottom line, it's not going to happen, and I have one main reason for it, being that studios are petty. Like, studios will not admit they're wrong, essentially. So yeah, they'd have to admit a mistake by releasing the Snyder Cut. Whether it's good or not, you know, compared to the final product, who knows? I mean, it was meant to have been different from what you're saying about what we've seen about it with Cyborg's arc and stuff like that. The villain still would have been the same, shit villain and whatnot, but I don't know what would have changed about that. But anyway, I don't think it will happen because, one, studios are not, the studio would have to admit it's wrong. If it's as different as people are saying, then it's a different universe going forward, essentially, with the implications of what the Snyder Cut's plot gave off with like Darkseid and stuff. So if they're trying to build a movie universe, likelihood of it happening now, very unlikely, to be honest, I think. But also as well, monetary wise, they'd only do it if they seen money in it. And as much as there is this big, following that you've been an advocate for, like release the Snyder Cut and stuff like that, 200,000 people is a lot of people. It's admirable that there's a group like that been put together, or however many signed it. I don't know how many signed that thing on change.org, but how much does 200,000 sales translate to in Blu-rays? Do you know what I mean? Probably not that much in the grand scheme of things. And like Harry said with his pal earlier, people have a bad taste in their mouth. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think the likelihood of it happening is much higher than I think? Or
yeah, I would say I'm 80% certain it's coming out, and it's going to come out within the next 4 or 5 years. That's what I think. There's an example, I can't remember what film it was, that was kind of released, but it was at the same time as something else was happening with the franchise. Can't remember what it was, but I just see with the way the fans have kind of have got their movement, and they've got people like Jay Oliver, who's the DC. He's a director of DC animated films. He worked with Snyder on Justice League on his cut of the film, and he's saying, I've seen it, it's there. He's not kind of mentioned anything about having it released, but then Jason Momoa comes out and he's on MTV. He says like, yeah, I want to fucking see it, and it's like all this. I can't see Warner Brothers. Now I know what you mean when you say Warner Brothers, they're kind of petty and they would admit to a mistake, but then again they've kind of got rid of quite a few people since. There's been a lot of kind of shake up at DC at Warner Brothers since.